Whew. That was a hike. There's been a lot of warm weather lately, and I noticed the south-facing slopes of our mountains are really starting to bear up this past handful of days, especially in the yard too. And this one spot, a mountain that I hunted a bit, I knew there's a big buck there. I didn't know who he was, how big he was, but I could tell by the sign there's a frickin' big monster buck up there for the fall anyway. So I opted to leave. I found this one where it's a pinch point. I don't know if you can see here. You see this all rock face here. See all that? It's all rock face. This is your first real decent little traveling bench. And this little bench cuts and wraps all the way around the mountain. And then it basically drops straight off there. And I thought, well, maybe I'll be able to get a logging road far enough. These roads are really clearing off. And I'll try to hike up. And I made it up. It's funny how much snow is. The snow seems to last longer outside of the timber than the timber. So I actually flew the drone up first to see if there might be too much snow. And it looks like there's patch to patch to patch in the timber for sure. So I went for it. I post-sold a bit. I saw one deer. Saw a lot of beds. A lot of sign, which is really, really good. Because the last handful of years there was a pile of wolves cleaning everything off. And it's all good now. And I'm really keeping an eagle eye out for the sheds. They're big beds at the base of the big fir trees. I saw a doe. I saw a lot of like smaller size deer pellets, poops, and that means typically doe in last year's fawn, right? The smaller the poops, the smaller the deer. And what really gets me going is when there will be a big, as big as the deer crap gets, and lots of it. And then I really start looking for the antlers. All information's in the Blacktail Hunter app, iTunes, Google Play, if you want to really get all the intimate knowledge. But I didn't find a shed yet, and I made it up. I started looking around like, this got to be it, because I left it with a fresh, and I also left a fresh. There's some poops right there. They're not that big though. But I also left a fresh tarsal gland. I put it on a string that was. I raised it up in the air. I can see this thing. There it is. It's still there. I hung that fresh tarsal gland off of that light branch and far enough down the branch and high enough off the ground that a bobcat or a wolf couldn't jump up to it, and a cat wouldn't be able to lower himself down to get it. And I've had cats and wolves take my tarsal glands in front of cameras before. But anyways, this guy was making some rubs when I hunted up here a handful of days, and that's one of them there. There's run right by the camera as well. Right there, and the camera is still here. What a bonus. Very happy days. So, now here's the drum roll. So here's the drum roll part. Not every camera is a good one. I've had every single brand name you can come up with, and I've had every single brand name you can come up with fail. I only left one camera here where normally I'd like to leave two, but this wasn't that important of a hill compared to my other target spots, but I really like to find a big new buck. This is really exciting for me to grab this camera. And there's always a chance that it failed or it stuck and kept on taking photos nonstop or videos nonstop till the battery died. So I have a card reader on me right now, and I can't wait, and I'm going to check right now. Fingers crossed. It's funny how by the end of the fall for me, I've basically been running straight up and down these mountains for, I don't know, 90 days or something. And by the end of it, you feel like frickin' Superman. And you just go run straight up the entire mountain basically without stopping at a pace, and you're fine. And it's funny, I got the whole winter off with Sarah fattening me up nonstop, yummy cooking. And it's funny how your brain tells you to run straight up the mountain again. And then you start going, and then your body starts to tell you, hey, you haven't been exercising, loser. Oh, I miss that. I'll be back, but it's good though. I don't worry about my shape too much because I know I'm gonna get skinny again in the fall anyway. Now, what do you think? Is there gonna be anything here, please? Oh, it's working. Hit the import button. It worked so far. Wow. All right, well, this thing worked all the way till it's still working. Huh. How crazy is that? Well, I guess I won't know for certain if there's any big hammer bucks on here until I get it back to the office and have a go. I'm gonna be really, really, really surprised if there isn't a big mature buck on this camera. That'd be kind of very odd to see, considering where this is and how many does have been in front of this camera, but that's how you learn. Sometimes the spot is just not a big buck hangout. And that's why you gotta keep on doing this. You always get that spare camera, find a wicked trail where you think it just might be the zone, and you throw down and you try it out. Anyway, I'll tell you what. Obviously I've had a good handful of big bucks. I've tagged a lot of big bucks, and I've got a good handful of them on trail cameras too, but you can just imagine how many zeros I'll pick up with trail cameras too, as compared to scoring, right? Especially after a few years, just getting over the a major predator explosion as well. So it's going to take some time for them to really populate back up. What I see, I think I only saw 3 new substantial sized bucks this whole last year on all the cameras. So I have a bunch of cameras out yet still. Wow. They'll make it back. They'll come back. But I don't know. We just need to see what's on here. It's gonna be really hard to picture they're not a big mature buck didn't come through here at least once this November. It'd be so weird. There's too many does here, and this place is just a classic setup. But there was a big hammer buck farther up the slope last fall. I hiked up there a few times for him, blew him out once. Never got a look at him. You can just tell by how he was wrangling up the does and the footprints, the size of his feet. He's honest, he had to be a substantial sized buck. And who knows, maybe he's on the camera. We'll find out when we get back. At least the camera worked, right? There's nothing worse than all that effort, and then you get up and you open up your camera and it didn't work. It's enough to take you over the edge.